It's going to be a year since Sheikh Hasina left Bangladesh and fled to India, and Muhammad Yunus took over as the caretaker to the interim government of Bangladesh. And political equations in Dhaka are getting harder to read by the minute. Take the example of Bangladesh's Chief of Army Staff, General Waker-Uz-Zaman, and Muhammad Yunus. Now, there had been no love lost between the two. It is very difficult for anybody who is remotely involved with the Awami League or linked to Awami League to survive in a post-Hasina Bangladesh. We have seen over the past 1 year how not just Hindus or other minorities, but people who are linked to the Awami League have been targeted, replaced from top posts, as a new order came into being. But General Walker was not just hired by Hasina, elevated to the position of Chief of Army Staff of Bangladesh, but is also related to Hasina through his wife's family, continued to remain army chief. But General Waker-Uz-Zaman has publicly, during this time, been very critical of the Yunus administration. So we know this because not too long ago, in May, for instance, this year, when there were talk of elections, early elections in Bangladesh, one of the first people in high place in Bangladesh to come forward and talk about early elections, in fact, elections in December, was General Waker-Uz-Zaman, who said that, only an elected government can solve the problems of Bangladesh. Now, this did not go down well with Yunus, who, if you believe the reports that came out at that time, almost threatened to resign. And backing Yunus at that time against the army chief were student leaders of this new party called National Citizen Party, which was formed only recently. And all the student coordinators have formed this party. And it's known as the King's Party in Bangladesh because of Yunus's unstinted support to the party. They backed Yunus against General Waker-Uz-Zaman. Now, they even sort of they went to the extent of threatening the general, these leaders of the NCP. Why then is General Waker-Uz-Zaman supporting the NCP today? What happened on July 16 in Gopalganj raises some serious questions. On July 16, leaders of the NCP, the National Citizen Party, went to Gopalganj to deliver a political speech. Now, the speech soon turned inflammatory as they spoke against Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And Gopalganj is a district in Bangladesh which has a lot of Army League supporters. So political protesters of the now banned Chhatra League, which is the Army League student wing, and Army League members, they attacked leaders of the NCP. Now, this is a political protest that had gone wrong. It's a law and order situation. So people who should have been dealt with the situation are the local administration and the local police. Instead, it was the army who shot down 5 political protesters in cold blood, injured over 100. And in most cases, there were no postmortems also. There were visuals of NCP leaders inside armored vehicles of this Waker-Uz-Zaman's army who were escorted back into the safety of Dhaka. Now, why would the general publicly support a party who had attacked him for wanting early elections? Which means that political equations in Dhaka are changing very fast. Because people would remember that earlier this year, there were talks of an army coup in Bangladesh to replace Waker-Uz-Zaman. So there was obviously a lot of support within Bangladesh to replace Waker-Uz-Zaman and have a new army chief in place. Now, one of the possible explanations to this is, Waker-Uz-Zaman is set to resign in September this year. Now, once that happens, the general is no longer the army chief, then if he is not friends with Yunus, he's going to get into a hell lot of trouble. We have seen how things are happening in Bangladesh, where people who this administration does not like, whether it is rights activists, former MPs of the Army League, or political dissenters, even academics and film stars and actresses. They are all being charged under a lot of false cases and being harassed. So once he stops being an army chief, Waker-Uz-Zaman is going to be in a lot of trouble if he doesn't cozy up to Yunus. And that means that there are no early elections. Forget early elections in Bangladesh. It means that once the general, who's a very powerful figure in Bangladesh currently, and Yunus come together, and the NCP, which I spoke about, of course, does not want early election. Neither does the Jamaat-e-Islam Islami Bangladesh. There will be no early elections in Bangladesh. In fact, even the scheduled date of holding elections early next year may now become very, very tough.